family, to those assembled and within the sound of my voice, my name is Manson Brown. I've been blessed to know Merle Smith for my entire adult life. Merle is my role model, he's my mentor, and he's my friend. You know, I was a cadet here at this academy when Lieutenant Merle Smith reported as an instructor in 1975, excuse me. There were just a few black cadets in the Corps of Cadets at the time, and so having a black officer on staff was a most welcome sight. But since I was a cadet, and since he was an officer, I avoided him. That's what cadets do. I do recall seeing him for the first time. I saw an officer who exemplified everything that an officer should be. This was before we transitioned to the Bender blue uniform. The first time I saw him, he was in the old dress khaki uniform, and I studied him intently. It was perfection down to the last detail. I couldn't help but note that he carried himself with exceptional grace and dignity. And I would describe his demeanor as naturally pleasant. And I say that because his interactions with cadets weren't loud and boisterous like many of the other officers that were in the training environment at that time. I recognized that Merle was a different kind of leader, one more focused on inspiration than perspiration. And I embraced his example as the type of officer that I wanted to grow to become. I've got a lot of Merle stories, but I'm only going to share one. I recall one night in 1976 when Lieutenant Smith was the Chase Hall duty officer. I was a second class at the time, a third-year student. I was going down the hallway one night, passageway for those sailors out there, and I heard someone sobbing. I let my ears be my guide. I followed the sound. Behind a closed door, I came across a first-year student, a swab in my company, who I had come to know very well. It happens that he had received a Dear John letter and had attempted suicide. I made a ruckus, called out for someone to go get the Chase Hall duty officer. I didn't know it was Lieutenant Smith at the time. I tended to the cadet. I noticed that he wasn't badly injured. He was alert, but he was completely inconsolable. And I just got angry. The cadet was sitting down. I kneeled down beside him. I grabbed him by the shoulders and said, "What the heck were you thinking?" And I just kept peppering him with questions, trying to reason with why he would take such a dramatic action. Completely disassociated from my surroundings. After a few moments, I felt this large hand on my shoulder. I turned around. It was Lieutenant Merle Smith. I knew instinctively, get out of the way, the professional has arrived. With great empathy, Merle calmly took charge, and I watched this seasoned leader handle a crisis situation much, much, much better than I was handling it at the time. And that was a great leadership lesson for me, and one I will never forget. You know, in many ways, Merle's guiding hand has been with me ever since. I can attest that my interactions with him had positive effect, not just on my career, but on my life. Frankly, I recognize that if there was no Commander Merle Smith, there would have never been a Vice Admiral Manson Brown. I last visited Merle in May while he was hospitalized. After walking into the hospital room, I turned to Linda and I said, "Wow, he looks amazingly well." And this was considering all of his ailments and the heavy medication that he was under. In many ways, I took comfort in seeing the qualities expressed on his face that I saw when I first met him all those years ago. He was graceful, he was dignified, he was pleasant, and upon reflection, I know now, he was at peace. You know, in recent years, I learned something about Merle and a bond that we have that actually extends beyond the Coast Guard. We're both members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Merle joined my fraternity through Kappa Psi chapter in Washington, D.C. in 1970. He was joined by 17 other men, and some of his line brothers, we call them, have reached out to me. They actually elected Merle as their line captain, and they credit Merle with helping this group of 18 men get through the process to join the fraternity. That's the kind of leader that he was. As a fraternal tribute to Merle, I want to recite a poem that all Omega men are familiar with. It's called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looks but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Merle, I want to thank you for your guiding hand. I join many others as we carry your legacy forward. So long, my friend, until we meet again. To Linda, Chelsea, MJ, Danielle, the entire family, the reverence that I have for Merle now conveys to you. Please accept my deepest condolences, and may God bless you all.